I'm here with Joanne DiLorenzo, and we're going to talk to her about Fillmore. What was the Fillmore experience like?
It was an amazing time in America and an amazing time in American history. I think you remember that the youth of America had gone through the assassination of Kennedy, King, and then the other Kennedy. Authority was not to be trusted. I believe it was Kent State also, where students were gunned down because they didn't agree with what the government was doing. So it was a pretty terrible time. And what do people do in a terrible time is they tell stories and make music. And I believe that's what was happening in San Francisco. It was literally vibrating with sound and people.
Hi everyone, welcome to Discovering Laguna Woods Village. I'm Cindy Whitney, and today we're going to be rediscovering something. We're going all the way back to 1969. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Woodstock.
When you want to go crazy, this is a place to do it.
Good morning. Welcome to the Thrive Show. We've got an exciting and different morning planned for us this morning. We have two very special guests, and these wonderful ladies co-host other shows in the village, and we just wanted to chat with you and tell you about what we're doing. We're very excited because we all love living in the village, and we're thriving, and it's the best place on earth to live. So I have Sandy O'Connor with me from the Artist Showcase, and I have Cindy Whitney from Discovering Laguna Woods. So we're just going to have a girls' morning. And the way I look at this morning is really we are the three musketeers. One for all and all for fun. So that's really what we're going to be doing this morning. Little different, but we wanted to expand and show how we are working on the same page, and we want to collaborate and make your visual and TV experience even better. So Sandy, I'll start with you this morning.
Okay.
So tell us about the Artist Showcase.
Well, I wish I could remember exactly how it all started, but I don't. I just remember that Scott and I got to know each other, Scott Marvel, who produces these shows, and we decided to try our first adventure at the Festival of the Arts because we had three artists who were actually juried in there, and that was amazing to have that number. It was July of 2017. Now we're in July of 2019, and we're still working our way through all of these shows. I think the reason that I've enjoyed it so much is these people that we meet and talk to. Well, it blows me away. Their experience, their, most of the people we have dealt with on these shows are professionals, and they still are, but, their life was different. They were a different kind of professional. They were getting paid, and now they're here doing all of this great stuff and offering it to the community. So we try to feature that.
And what has been some of your favorite experiences when you've been sharing?
Oh, well, all these shows are wonderful, but there's several shows. One was actually January of 2018, which was the Fillmore experience out of San Francisco, which was the music in the 60s, and the lady who we spoke with was there. She was part of it. She was the take care of all the musicians lady. But the things she told us were so interesting. And then just recently, we interviewed Terry Louise Fisher, who wrote with Stephen Bochco for LA Law, and she also wrote for Cagney and Lacey. She won Emmys. That was fascinating because she had no hesitation to tell us also of the inside dope of what goes on, and that was very interesting. But we've had a lot of good shows with a lot of good people, and some people who are just living and thriving here in the village, and so there's almost too many to count.
As a host for this length of time, how does that make you feel as a villager?
Oh, it makes me feel great, and it's nice when people come up to you, because when you're doing this show, you have no idea who's watching. You don't know if it's 2 people or 200 people or what. But when people come up to you and say things, then, which are usually very nice, you know that you're reaching out to some of these people, because our goal is to try to get more and more people doing these kinds of things. And there are others out there that have the ability, have the experience, and those that don't even have the experience, that if they got into it, they would find out they could do very well at it. So we're trying to foster that.
So do you find people that know nothing about acting and the Artist Showcase, and they suddenly get the encouragement to come out and see you and try their first attempt at acting?
Right, and that has to do a lot with the Theater Guild that I'm part of,
Right.
where we really encourage that. But even in the Artist Showcase, we have featured some people that are not, that well known or whatever, but they have some depth of experience, life experience. So we foster that too, because we're always trying to emphasize a little deeper information when we do the shows, so that they will feel like they're learning something and they can sit there and watch it and say, I could do this too.
That's right.
And that's one of the things we want to try to accomplish.
And when people make that step, do you find they stay then?
Oh yes, they usually get involved. I mean, I've seen it with a lot of people, especially through Theater Guild and even people in the Artist Showcase that have participated. Now they feel like, oh boy, I can do some of these things. I can get involved. And of course the secret is finding the place that you feel the best about, the most comfortable about, where you meet people that you really connect with.
That's right.
So that's part of it too.
That's great. Of all the things you've done in terms of your 2 years, if you had to look back on it, is there anything you might have done differently?
Oh yeah, there's a couple shows. Scott and I are always pretty happy about the shows, but we had a couple shows where we were both not very well. And so we felt like, well, this one didn't go as well as we wanted, but all of a sudden, sometimes you have that happen. But I don't know, I just think it's just been an adventure, and we never really know for sure how it's going to turn out, except that he has this camera and he decides if we can keep going or if we're going to stop. The joy of it is that most of the time we just keep going.
Right.
We just
That's
keep
right.
going, and when we're done we say, hey, that's a wrap. And so when I tell people you're going to be on our show and we're going to film it in about a half hour, I know they don't believe me, but most of the time that's what we do.
And you truly see joy and fun with the
Oh
participants.
yes, oh yes.
It's on their face, it's in their action, it's their energy.
Right. And that we talk about that after. There was very good energy there, and just trying to ask them a few questions and let them run with it, so that they're the ones that are the stars of the show, and we're just the facilitators of their experience with us. So that's how we work. And actually it's the same thing in the Theater Guild, which I'm participating in for the last many years, is the same effect, is getting people who haven't done much, who are willing to give it a shot. A lot of our programs have allowed that, for them to really get involved.
Took a drink. I didn't know if it was day or night. I started kissing everything inside. But when I kissed the coffee and I'm burning for the ride, pick up my little bottle of love potion on the night.
And so we've seen a whole bunch of people come forth now and say they want to do something, whether it's backstage or acting or any other phase of costumes, makeup, whatever. And each show there's newer people coming in, so that's good too. That's the invigorating part of it.
Great. So Cindy,
Yes,
welcome
Thank
to
you.
the Thrive Show. We're
you.
happy to have you.
thank you.
I'm loving your jewelry, but we're going to have to talk about that in a second. So tell me about your show.
Well, my show started, I had been I was giving some lectures, and I sort of co-taught some of the emeritus classes.
great.
And Brad Hudson approached me. He was our former CEO.
Yes.
He approached me and said, would you like to have a show on Village Television? And I thought, well, what would it be about? And he said, well, get with Paul Ortiz and see if you can't work that out. So we discussed it, and I said, well, my show would have to have a purpose. I don't want to have just a show to have a show. And so I thought about it, and I thought, well, when I first came here, a lot of people said, well, you might not be able to get into some of those emeritus classes, and then you go over there, some of those places are kind of scary. And so I thought, well, that doesn't sound, like the way it should be. And so I was in an emeritus class, in a jewelry class, and what I discovered is a lot of times people will come into the Channel 4 laboratories there, and open the door and see the torches or see the, saws and grinding tools and sanders and all these things and the rock polishing things and just slam the door and say, I don't know what goes on in there, but I don't want anything to do with it. So I did my first 2 shows. I said, I'm going to have a show that shows people how to come into these environments, these industrial environments, and make something wonderful. So we went 2 shows, and every one of those studio environments at Clubhouse 4, my favorite show, because it showed people how you overcome your fear of the torch, overcome your fear of the sander or whatever it is, and make something beautiful. And that was so satisfying to me that I said, what else can we do? So we went out to any number of things. If I were to have 2 favorite shows, the yacht club, certainly, because we went out on a yacht, Dana Point. That was absolutely amazing. And then the other would have to be the dog park, because we got to roll around in the dirt with dogs, and it doesn't get any better than that. And we're going back when the new park is open very soon.
I'm hearing a common theme from both of you, and it's called overcome your fear. Either it's the fear of walking into the jewelry area because of the noise and the fact I don't know, or overcoming the fear of being on stage, backstage, making a mistake. I think in both cases, ladies, it's really interesting to listen to you, because I think of some of our residents, we spark their interest and they really want to do something, but fear overcomes them for whatever reason. They don't have the experience, it's age, it's health. And we just want them to see experiences that they can have and not get hurt and love it and thrive and probably get healthier because they're really having fun at what they're doing. And so it's such an interesting theme from both of you.
I think also there's 2 things. It's either something that you always thought you'd get to do in your life, or something you never thought you'd get to do in your life, and everything in between.
Right, and that I've had several examples of that where people say, "Oh, I just couldn't do that," or "I couldn't learn any lines," or "I couldn't," and then before you know it, they're doing something. They're either doing something in the theater, whether backstage or front stage, and they're learning. Some of them start out with 2 lines, and they're so happy they could do that. And, so I think it's again, it's that thing of keeping it open to all those possibilities, and I have people here that just blow me away who came to the village that have told me their stories. They never acted, they never did anything in the theater. And one of those ladies, Evelyn Hoffman, who many of you know and have seen on stage so many times, didn't do anything before she came here. And now she's been in many, many shows, and there's others like her who have done that same thing. So when someone says that, I say, I'll give you an example of somebody who said that same thing, and then they changed their mind. So we try to, again, promote that whole thing. And I think that's part of our job as hosts, is when we do these shows, is to not just inform, but encourage. Yeah.
I find it interesting too, particularly as we do this kind of thing, is that the people we're trying to touch and bring to the different events, a lot of what we do and a lot of what we do is as hosts, we volunteer. And it wasn't too long ago I retired, and when you were in the world of work, you were like, oh my God, what's my boss going to think, and am I going to get fired? Well, the beauty of the village, one of the many beauties of the village, is it's all volunteer, and guess what? You can't get fired. And maybe like in your world, maybe somebody doesn't have talent to be on stage, but suddenly they're great at lighting, and they could be in the back and really excited about contributing. They wanted to be in the theater, but they didn't know where they fit. And in your situation, I always thought I wanted to make jewelry because I love jewelry. But suddenly you've reduced the fear.
Absolutely. I have to credit the Hoffman family, because it was Evelyn's husband, Ed Hoffman, who taught me a great deal about
that's right. See, that's the other part, is all the networking we do. And when we were in business, it was like a requirement. You better network. You got to network.
That's right.
Well, now that we're not, and we do it very naturally, I think.
Yeah.
We end up, we're open, we're retired, we're not busy like we were not getting up every morning for 8 hours of work. what we're doing is we're connecting with people all the
Right.
time.
That's right.
And that really is, like you said, Eddie and you
Oh,
connected
yeah.
because her
Eddie
husband.
polishes his jewelry for me.
Right, and so, there's, and someone said to me the other day, do you know a piano tuner? Well, I found out, I used some sources and networking here in the village, and I found out. So there's all kinds of stuff that we do to network with each other that is so different. And then I think the other thing is we take the time to find out their stories.
Yes.
Because their
Yes.
stories are what is so interesting.
I agree. Even in my situation now, when I meet people, I find I quickly get to the person. I mean, when I meet someone, I'm quickly interviewing them. I feel like I'm always on camera, but I'm not. But it's with a sincere interest in the villager, because you just want to expand the people that we know and we care about. And personally, I find myself laughing a lot more. That I didn't laugh in business. That just
Not like that.
It wasn't not like that. But mine is gut laughing.
And the environment is always changing too, because generationally,
Yes.
we have new residents moving
Right.
in, and we have them from all over the country, but all over the world.
World,
So
that's
we have
right.
all these cultural changes that, we can embrace that and learn more about how, someone else has lived their life and now they're
Right.
here. And those stories are fascinating to us because they're so different from our own.
Very different.
And we get a chance to celebrate that in our shows, which
Right.
is amazing.
And we don't want those international residents to feel alienated from the village, because we're all villagers, and fun has no language barriers. And it's so much fun to have them join some of our groups or be part of what we do.
Yes.
So it's been really exciting.
Yes, and I mean, even generationally, we didn't have a Woodstock festival 11 years ago, but we have for the last 10 years. And so, I mean, something like that a generation gets to celebrate, the baby boomers come in and celebrate something that's very important and vital to them. And so, what will the next generation bring in? Who knows?
Yeah.
And it's exciting to think about
And
that.
speaking of Woodstock, it'll happen in just 2
weeks.
Yeah, less than
Yeah,
2 weeks on the 27th.
Yeah.
And there'll probably be around 800 or 900 people there
Oh, man.
at Clubhouse 2, and it's an amazing event because there's some people there that were there.
Yes.
Yes.
And then there's people there that wish they had been there. And so they tap into everything that's going on. But it's an amazing day. It's an amazing day, and it says a lot about our ability to create an event like that.
Right.
It's really amazing.
That's generationally correct for our residents,
Yes.
for the villagers.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And they can go back in time, whether they were there or not. The music we all know.
Right.
Because
And we'll have plenty of that for sure.
they will definitely have a lot of.
Yep, I shot 3 of my shows there, which was really remarkable because I got to interview David Deering. Of course, he was there. He has such a great story about Woodstock.
Having been there.
Having been there, yeah, it was amazing. So it's just great to find these little hidden stories with people that you pass every day, in other contexts, and all of a sudden you say, "You did what?" You find out more about people. The more
right.
opportunity you have to talk with them,
Right.
and interact with them.
And because we're not on a time clock or have to get back to the office,
Oh, I know,
I
it's
mean,
great.
it's so wonderful
the
because
best.
it's just like, I'm in not in any rush. Oh, tomorrow's fine. Let's go tomorrow. Let's do
know.
coffee, because it's just a total, and to me, not only is the village full of fun and the gift, but we all are blessed with the gift of time. And that to me is the most treasured gift I've had, because sure, I can volunteer for this group. And for example, I volunteered to be a docent for the docent tours.
Great.
So once a month, I'm out there on the bus with for 2.5 hours with
Telling them everything.
everything about the village, and I either do prospective buyers or new residents. But for 2.5 hours, I don't stop talking, and I tell them how wonderful the village is and what a great place it is to live here. And then I've done the one for residents, and they're like, "I've lived here 12 years, and I didn't know all this was going on."
See, that's what happens.
That's what happens. So
and
it's-
we want to get
get
out
them
there.
out. So,
Yeah.
we are so happy that you are viewing on Channel 406 for all 3 of our shows, because it can be an inspiration. Because if you've lived here and never had a tour, this is our tour for you, because there's so much going on. And And remember, it's you can't get fired, you can't get hurt,
Right.
You know, and there's always a do-over if you have to. It's really fun.
And I think another thing is that happened to me, and I try to do that with people too, is people encouraged me when I first moved here and said, I think you might like doing this, which at that time was the theater, and then I was hooked and onward and onward. But because they thought they knew me enough to know that people that I actually knew who lived here.
Right.
And so, but even now I try to tell people, you know, what are your interests? What do you like to do? Because I think it's part of our, you could say it's our obligation, and I think it is. When we like it here so much, when we thrive here, I think it is our obligation to try to tell people more about and ask more questions
Yes.
about how they can get involved and do the things that they like to do, because some of them like to just play cards or whatever.
Right.
You know, so just trying to find and then guiding them towards finding those places.
That's right.
Yeah, because you can fall into a very routinized life that you do that thing that you like to do, but that is all that you do.
That's right.
Or you may go to the gym, you know, on a very rigid schedule and not understand that if you just look at the recreation calendar that Jennifer Murphy puts forward, and all these other things and these hybrid things, chair Pilates or yoga Pilates and chair aerobics and all these different things that they're creating these wonderful hybrids with us in mind. They're not for 24-hour fitness. They're for us
They're for
and things
us.
that we can do.
That's right.
And so to break up your workout routine so that you can stay fit and healthy, somebody behind the scenes is working on that all the time and making sure that these things are covered for us. And you know, and we get to do a television show.
Well, you know, that's a good point too, because I've done the fitness classes
Yes.
in Clubhouse 5, and I also go to 24-hour fitness. But the beauty of the ones here is that we're very sensitive to the residents.
Yes.
And they're at a level that's challenging and beneficial, but they can also just do a little without feeling embarrassed, you know, that they didn't do something or they skipped it or what have you. And the instructors are all sensitive to villagers. And they watch it and they care about us. I mean, that's what's so amazing. And the best part of all is the social component. I mean, I've met
Oh,
people
absolutely.
in my sneakers classes just like, hi, and I see them everywhere.
Yep. Yep.
And so to the villager that might feel more comfortable in their manner, you know, just do one thing. Just try one thing. Just
try one
Just
thing.
try one thing. And so if the fitness class works, okay, then why come to the dog park. You got a dog? Let's go walk in the
Even if
park.
you don't have a
If you
dog,
don't,
you
go
and
walk in the
yeah,
park.
Yeah, just enjoy
So-
somebody else's
And
dog.
Clubhouse 4 is like a plethora of opportunity
right.
between, you know, sewing and knitting and quilting and ceramics and
Wood shop.
jewelry making and wood shop and oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And so there's so many choices if you want to do that type of
Yeah.
thing.
It's fun on the tours with the prospective buyers. When I get them to Clubhouse 4, they're literally, their eyeballs are rolling. They're like, are you kidding me? I mean, all of this is happening here. And they go, is this extra? And I go, no, gift with purchase.
Yes,
Gift
purchase.
with purchase, all this.
And you
comes
might
with
have to buy
purchase.
some materials, but
Yeah.
whatever.
It's phenomenal. My realtor, she knew that I had an interest in jewelry making,
Yeah.
and so she took me there first, and I saw the little glass showcase. And
Yeah, I know, that's where I take 'em.
Yvonne Lowe had her work
Yeah.
in there, if you know Yvonne Lowe, but her work was there, and I said, oh, she started to go on, and I said, no, come back here. I said, you mean that this woman lives here? She said, yes. I said, oh, no, wait, come back.
Yeah.
This woman lives here, and I have access to her, and she said, yes.
Yes.
And I said,
Yeah.
then let's go sign the papers. I don't even need to
Yeah,
know
that's right.
anymore.
And I've had men on the tour that I take them in the wood shop and they're like, where are my papers? I'm signing. Let's go. So it's great to see, as we were talking about, the new villagers that are coming to us are just so attracted to this. And yet, we didn't even talk about the clubs. I mean, and all the other
Well,
things
there's
that we
I think there's
280.
Is there 80?
280 right now.
Oh, gee. I was going to say
there's-
250, but they've
That's
added
an old
some.
speech.
Yeah. Wow.
There's 280 clubs now in the village, and there's something for you to do and have fun and meet people. And if you want a big group, for example, the Chicago Club that I'm on the board, we just hit 470 members in the Chicago Club, which is
Wonderful.
huge, and it's so exciting. And there's a lot of clubs like that. So outside of what we're
And the
sharing.
New York Club just put on a concert
Right.
sponsored
Right.
a concert Saturday night,
Right.
which was the Elton John
John, yeah,
tribute.
tribute.
Oh my gosh, there
That
wasn't
was
a
fun.
seat in the house.
And if you want to make a difference, there is volunteerism, there is social and political activism. If you're interested in that, there are
Right.
different organizations and groups that will help you, take part in these things and safely, transport you and be active in things that are meaningful to you in your life. So there's a lot of things here.
And the Laguna Woods Foundation,
Yes,
another wonderful,
yes.
and many of the clubs, and including our
Meals on
Theater Girl
Wheels.
group, we contribute to them because it takes care of.
Yep.
We're walking around and doing great and doing a lot of things, but there's others that really can't for
Right.
various reasons. So I think that is a great organization that helps,
It's wonderful.
helps our people. So
Hopefully by the time you've seen this, you've watched our show, the Thrive Show in July, and we did the Men's Memorial Golf
Yes.
Tournament. And that is the major fundraiser for the foundation. And we raised $35,000 for Laguna Woods Foundation. And it was a blast. I mean, Scott and I spent the whole day and night filming the golfers, and it was probably the most fun that I've had. I have fun on everything, but this was really great.
Yeah,
But to
the
your
amount of
good
money,
point.
too, that you were able to raise.
To your point,
they're very happy.
and there's other things we can do in that
Sure.
regard. That
Sure.
is
And
the
organize
highest one.
for us. All we do is
Yeah,
show up.
show up.
Yeah.
I mean, it works that way because it's just, and then you're really not only having fun, but there's a higher cause, and it increases your self-esteem in terms of your worth. Because in our world of work we saw results, but now we don't have results, but now we have bigger results because we have people we're helping and they're just having fun, and you can't put a price on any of that
No,
because they're
definitely
having fun.
not.
So it's really
we
fun.
often pinch ourselves. Many of my friends
Yeah,
that
I know.
I'm with and do a lot of things with, we pinch ourselves very often
Yes.
about living here.
My husband and I say that every morning. Pinch me, is this real?
Well, it's a different time of life.
Yes.
And some people can, stagnate in this time of life, but we're so far from that. We're active. We're involved and engaged and participating in things, and we have access to so much and each other, and it's a great time.
It's really a great time of our life, and we worked hard for this. So again, your show is
It's on Wednesday mornings at 9:30.
and your
Wednesdays at
10:30,
10:30.
and Thrive is Thursdays at 9:30.
So you can just do just stay by your TV.
Don't turn it off. Stay on channel 406,
Yes, and
please.
just stay there until Thursday morning and
Till
your show is over.
till the
Yes.
credits come up and down, and it's
Yeah,
just like
there
this
you
boring
go.
guy
Village
thing. So.
television.
So we thank you for joining us today. We've had a blast. I think we're gonna be BFFs forever, girls, and we just love doing what we do.
Yep,
And we just, if you have any ideas, please let us know, because we're here for you, and give us inspiration and direction, because we just want to make your life fuller and fill your days with lots of joy and lots of fun. Thanks for joining us.